The first product we're using is the Laneige Water Bank Essence for All Skin. It acts like a primer for your makeup. We're going to use a second primer. It's the Smashbox Original Photo Finish Smooth and Blur Primer. It's one of my favorites. Next up, we're using the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. You'll want to apply a little bit of foundation to the palm of your hand, and I prefer to use a silicone blender because I feel like you're able to use a lot more of the product as opposed to the beauty blenders. The next step we have is to brush out your brows. I like to do a nice natural brow with my natural arch. So you'll want to just brush them up and you'll start to create the line below each one of the brows. And today we're going to use the Sephora Crayon Retractable Brow Pencil in the shade Midnight Brown. It almost is like a crayon. It's really easy to use and really easy to remove if you do make a quick mistake. This next product is one of my favorites. It's the Kat Von D Lock-It Makeup Setting Mist. I tend to use this sometimes before during or after application, especially in the summertime when it tends to get kind of sticky outside. We're now moving on to our highlighting and contouring. We're going to be using the Nudestix Sculpting Pencil in shade Highlight Luminix, and the contour color is Deep. You'll just be able to line the top of your forehead and just wherever you feel like you need the extra lines. I do my jawline to make the face look a little slimmer towards the chin. The next step is using your beauty blender to blend everything out. Once you've made the lines, you'll want to take whatever setting spray and make sure you get your beauty blender nice and moist to be able to buff out those lines. We're also taking that same nude stick and using the highlighting part to trace over the other ones to create the illusion of having a little more light and making it a little easier to contour. This is when you're going to take your beauty blender, you'll start buffing out the lines. There's no wrong way to do it, but essentially you'll want to keep everything in line and use one side for your contour and one side for your highlighter. It's a little better whenever you can kind of blend everything into your hairline so that there aren't any fine lines, including the bottom of the chin. The next product we're using is the Sephora Spice Market Blush Palette. I'm going to use the orange shade that's in the middle. You're going to take your highlighter brush and apply a little bit to the top of the cheeks. It doesn't have to be perfect because I typically start to blend this in with whatever contour I'm using, which is also my bronzer. We're now going to take that bronzer. I'm using the Sephora Canary Islands in shade Dark. It's number 7. You're going to take whatever kabuki brush you'd like and start applying it right underneath that blush and blending it in to create that fine line that you were looking for to contour. Don't forget to blend the top of your hairline and the bottom of your chin, wherever you had these original lines at. Buff it out really well to give you that additional shadow to make your face look thinner. We're going to use that same bronzer and we're going to take a small brush of your choice and have those fine lines along your nose line to get the impression of giving a thinner nose. This next product is one of my favorite makeup items in my bag. It is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Amrezy collection. It's their highlighter. It is the best glow that you can get on the market. Sometimes in the summertime when I don't feel like wearing a lot of makeup, I'll throw on some highlighter, some mascara, be on my way. You'll want to highlight the top of your cheeks. Typically you'll want to smile really big and just line wherever your cheekbones fall. Also down the middle of your nose and right above your cupid's bow to give you a look of having bigger lips. The next product we're using is the Makeup Forever Full Cover Camoflage Cream. It's also known as a concealer. It's in the shade 7. You'll want to put a little bit on the palm of your hand. Take whatever small sponge you have or beauty blender. Start right underneath that water line under your lash. Start patting it in to make sure you get all of the creases, just to prevent any type of wrinkling. Next up for baking, I'm using the KKW Beauty Bake Powder in shade 3. I'm a huge fan of this stuff. You'll want to make sure that you use a really generous amount, especially since a lot of it tends to get wiped off and blended in once you've let it sit for a little while. It really helps to brighten up underneath your eyes and give that impression of not having any dark circles. We're now going to get started on the eyes. I'm using the Huda Beauty Topaz Obsessions palette. We're going to start off with the light peach color in the middle. It makes a great base and it's a good blending out color in case you'd like to use it for other palettes. Next up, we're going to be using the orange color on the top right. We're going to apply a little bit to the end of the eye to create a little more depth and dimension. The last color we're using is the middle left color. It's a really pretty shade of gold. It has a lot of shimmer to it. You'll want to just take that towards the inside of the eye and blend it out. Don't worry about the lines because you'll kind of go back and buff them out once you're done. I'm now moving on to eyeliner. We're gonna be using the Too Faced Better Than Sex Easy Glide Waterproof Liquid Eyeliner. I'm gonna take the eyeliner and drag it along the top of my lash line. I'm gonna make a really fine line all the way across and do a tiny point at the end and repeat to the other side. Next, I'll be applying false lashes. I'm using Eylure London lashes, and the glue that I'm using is going to be a hair bond glue. You're going to take the bottom of a thin makeup brush, apply a little bit of that glue along the lash line, and let it set. You'll want to let it get tacky for about 15 to 30 seconds and then apply it onto each lash. I tend to think that if you keep your eyes halfway open and set it on top, it tends to be a lot easier. I do use tweezers to apply the lashes at first, and then I'll take my fingers to make sure that it's bonded all the way across to make it a little bit more of an even finish. Next up, we're using the Shock Mascara from Saint Laurent. You're gonna take that mascara and you're gonna kind of blend in your real lashes along with the fake lashes. Make sure to get a few coats in so that it blends really, really well. Again, you can always go back once it dries and use your fingers to adjust the lash to make sure you have that desired look. Next, you're going to take the Beauty Blender and start buffing out all of the powder. I like to make sure that I get all in the creases so that I won't have any type of lines visible once I'm done with my look. I'll also take any extra powder that I have and start brushing along the T-zones and any zones that I feel like I might have additional moisture at. It also makes a really good setting powder for all over the face, so you're more than welcome to use that there as well. I'm now going back to the Huda Beauty palette. I'm going to take a little bit of the color that I used on the outer eye and drag a little bit underneath the waterline to give a more dramatic look. I'm now going to line the bottom of my eye. I'm using the Makeup Forever Aqua Eyes pencil. You'll want to just do it right along the waterline on the bottom, and you can fill in as thin or as deep as you want to give whatever desired look you're going for. We're now going to revisit the Anastasia highlighter. I like to use a tiny brush and file in any places that I feel like I need additional lighting, which is going to be the inside of the eye and along the eyebrow line on top, just to give more of a flare. It does give a nice natural look in the summertime. Again, if you're going for something a little dressier, you can always add it on a little heavier. The final step we have is lips. I'm using Huda Beauty's Lip Contour in color Trendsetter to line my lips. I do tend to overline just a tad bit to give an impression of a bigger, fuller lip. The final step is using the Sephora Cream Lip Stain Rouge in color 39. You'll want to just file along on the inside of the line and make sure you draw it out. If you did feel like you messed up a little bit on the contour on the lip, you can always kind of fill it in with the lip stain. It is a little bit more of a matte, so if you want more of a shinier finish, you can always go back with the gloss. We now have our final look. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me or leave a comment below.